Unlock that gate right now, or I'm calling the police. That's the first thing I heard, through steel and pine and morning fog, before I even got the lid off my coffee. The voice came hot and glassy from the other side of my fence, the kind of voice that has never lost an argument because it never stops talking. I took one slow sip, let the steam hit my face, and said, as politely as a man can at 7 a.m., "Valerie, you're yelling at private property. My name's Jack Mercer, 48, diesel mechanic, recently divorced, too used to fixing everyone else's breakdowns while ignoring my own. 6 months before all this, I inherited my Grandma June's little 1960s ranch, 2 acres of stubborn ground wedged up against a wall of tall pines and a ribbon of asphalt that looks innocent until rush hour. Because here's the part nobody told me. 47 big houses back in Willow Ridge Estates. All those brick arches and side entry garages, they cut a shortcut across the corner of Grandma's land back in 1985. No recorded easement, no deed, just a handshake and a plate of cookies that turned into a habit. Grandma added a coded gate in 2019 after some teenagers trashed her shed. She gave the code to fire and EMS, the mail carrier, and the old FedEx guy who brought her garden seeds. It wasn't about keeping good people out. It was about trouble not knowing the code. Enter Valerie Cross, 52, HOA president, pearl white SUV, hair so sculpted it probably has its own zip code. She steps up to my gate in heels that sound like a woodpecker with a grudge and announces, "That gate stays open for resident convenience." Not asked, announced. I offer the emergency code, explain it's my fence on my dirt, and she gives me that smile people save for service workers when they're about to say something ugly. "Listen carefully, grease monkey," she says, eyeing the name patch on my shirt. "I don't negotiate with people who don't belong in decent neighborhoods." I close my screen door before the part of me that still enjoys a bar fight wakes up. That night, I pull out Grandma's old file box, labels in her tidy handwriting, manila folders that smell like cedar chips and winter. Survey from 1960, iron pins, bearings and distances like music if you know how to listen. Next morning, my lawyer, Olivia Reyes, looks at those papers and laughs the kind of laugh that pays mortgages. "Jack, they've been trespassing for 40 years. No recorded easement. You could chain that gate right now and the law wouldn't lose a wink." Valerie doesn't bring law. She brings noise. Anonymous complaints sprout like weeds. Commercial vehicles in a residential driveway. My work trucks, parked at my house. Noise at 6:30 a.m. Diesel warms up while the world drinks coffee. Illegal dumping. My compost pile that smells like tomatoes in childhood. County forms arrive. I respond politely. Inspectors shrug. Paperwork goes in the folder. And still, every morning, the honking line of Lexus and Audi and BMW stacks up at my gate, late for work because the shortcut is closed, and I can feel their eyes burning holes in the back of my robe. You ever been stared at by $28,000 worth of eyelash extensions? It leaves a mark. So I make a call. County Surveyor Dale Porter rolls up with GPS gear and a patience that can outlast moss. He pings every pin, paints every mark, and prints out a map with a number I already know by heart. 37 feet, 8 inches of road squarely inside my boundary. He's still folding the paper when Valerie storms across her driveway like a drill sergeant late to a parade. "This is illegal," she announces, hovering over his shoulder. Dale barely looks up. "Ma'am, convenience isn't a constitutional right. Property ownership is." That line should be stitched on a pillow. I post the survey on the neighborhood Facebook page. Facts, not feelings, black lines on white paper. 30 minutes later, Valerie fires back with a modern version of a flaming bag on a porch. Fake document. Unstable man. Threat to the community. I screenshot everything, drink water, and call it cardio. The next week brings a certified letter in expensive paper that smells like cologne and billable hours. Whitby and Lark, attorneys at law, want me to grant a permanent easement or pay 50 grand for interfering with essential access. I hand it to Olivia. She spreads those cream-colored pages like a blackjack dealer, nods once. Classic slap. We respond with a quiet title action and ask a judge to write the truth down where even Valerie has to read it. Her paralegal, Tasha Nguyen, the kind of person who can find lost things other people didn't know existed, disappears into county records and surfaces grinning. Original 1985 permit says the developer promised to put the access road entirely inside HOA land. They cut a corner, literally, right through Grandma June's property, lied by omission and hoped no one lived long enough to fuss. I should have felt pure satisfaction. I didn't. I felt tired. Tired of being the one who has to read the small print because someone else refuses to read the big sign that says no trespassing. Tired of the way money changes the volume on some voices and leaves the rest of us hoarse. But tired doesn't fix anything. Paper and process do. So I start closing the gate during rush hour like a metronome. 7 to 9, 4 to 6. A friendly sign points to Maple Street, the long way around. And I sit on the porch with coffee, waving like the world's most polite troll as luxury SUVs perform three-point turns with all the grace of a hippo in a bathtub. People call that petty. I call it pedagogy. The neighborhood starts to crack where it always does, right along the truth. Nora Kim shows up with Tupperware and a confession. Valerie told us you were hostile, she says, handing me oatmeal cookies. But she once fined me $300 because my Christmas lights blinked on January 3rd. Mark Dalton, a firefighter built like a lineman and gentle as a church usher, stops by in uniform. We have your gate code. Dispatch has it. Never been a problem, he says, glancing toward the cul-de-sac. But she's telling folks we can't get through. The wind shifts. You can smell panic when a bully realizes the room learned to read. Then Tasha brings me a file that feels like a live wire. Mechanics Lean from Sandoval Outdoor Services. Miguel Sandoval worked around the clock after a storm last year. Trees down, roads blocked, kids can't get to school. Invoices total $47,000. The HOA, under Valerie's signature, never paid. Miguel followed the law to the comma. Preliminary notices, deadlines, filings, and now the lien sits like a loaded trap across the HOA's common areas. If it goes to foreclosure, the playground and the trailhead and the fancy brick sign could all go up for sale. Tasha's face hardens. Also, I pulled bank statements and meeting minutes. Jenna Price, you know the CPA in Lot 18, helped me reconcile. We're seeing about $87,000 of irregularities in 2 years. Hotel conferences that never happened, office supplies that look a lot like designer shoes, cash advances on the HOA card with forged approvals. Mark exhales through his teeth. Nora puts her hand over her mouth. I feel something rearrange in my chest. Rage, maybe, but cleaner than that. Like the moment a mechanic hears the bearing noise and knows exactly which wheel is failing and how fast you're about to skid. It gets worse. Miguel's daughter, Anna, law student, sharp as a box cutter, digs through out-of-state records and lays copies on my kitchen table. Valerie Cross, she says, was Margaret Whitfield in Ohio. Plead to embezzlement in 2008, changed her name in 2010, moved here a year later. The room goes quiet the way it does before a storm breaks, and air has the decency to sit still. Valerie senses the ground shifting and moves from money to menace. Her husband, Neil, shows up in my driveway with a briefcase that looks like it came with a bodyguard. He opens it to neat stacks of cash. 30 grand today, he says, voice low. Sign a permanent easement, and this all goes away. I close the lid like it's a sleeping snake. Neil, an easement would devalue my place more than that. And even if it didn't, I'm not for sale. He blinks, recalibrates, tries the other lever. Things could get very difficult for you, he says. Empty threats have a tinny echo if you've heard enough real ones. 2 nights later, security lights snap my bedroom bright at 2:47 a.m. My cameras catch 2 shapes at the gate. Dark clothes, wire cutters, the kind of stealth you only see in TV shows, and people who skipped leg day. When the floods pop, they scramble, and the plate on the pearl-white SUV reads like a confession. Captain Alvarez watches the footage over my shoulder in the kitchen, eyes tired, coffee black. We can arrest them before breakfast, he says. I shake my head. After the auction, I say, let them pile all their chips on the wrong color first. He smiles like a man who appreciates theater and paperwork in equal measure. You're a patient guy, Jack. I'm broke, I say, which teaches patience quick. Auction. That word doesn't usually make a heart race unless you love cattle or antiques. But this one's different. Tasha found it reading the county notices like a bedtime story. A 1.2-acre strip labeled Lot 47A. The roadbed that runs through the middle of Willow Ridge. The previous owner died. No heirs, back taxes piled up, and the county is selling it on the courthouse steps. Minimum bid, $12,400. I get pre-approved, cash in hand, surveyor on standby. Olivia lines up the quiet title for my corner and a plan for the strip. Mark prays out loud in my driveway. Nora brings breakfast tacos and says, "Don't forget to smile for the cameras." I tell her I'm a mechanic. My smile was repossessed in the divorce. She makes me practice anyway. Courthouse morning arrives crisp enough to chew. News vans. Curious neighbors. Two county clerks who look like they've seen everything and also like they'd enjoy seeing this. Valerie and Neil stand across the plaza holding a certified check like a lifeline, faces stretched thin with a kind of fear that knows the math. The auctioneer, Bill, who normally sells hay equipment and cattle, reads the legal description that might as well say, "This is the spine of your neighborhood." Do I hear 15? Valerie jumps. 15. I wait 3 beats because drama is free. 17.5. Neil whispers hard at her. She swallows. 20. I say, 22.5. The crowd leans in. She says, 25. And her voice cracks like a windshield in heat. 30. I say softly into the cold air. You could hear a coffee lid click 3 counties over. Bill brings the gavel down like thunder. Sold, 30,000, to Mr. Mercer. Neil stares at the concrete. Valerie stares at me like I stole her birthday. A reporter from Channel 7 points a mic at my face. I'm not eloquent, but I know this much. I'm not here to punish families, I say. I'm here to fix what a handshake and some lies broke. That night the HOA packs the community center. The fluorescent lights buzz the way cheap lights do when truth is about to be told. Jenna, calm, precise, puts bank statements on a projector and walks the room through dates, amounts, memos. $87,000 in unapproved or falsified expenses, she says, clicking to photographs of signatures that don't match and receipts that do. Miguel shows the lien, the work orders, the pictures of his guys chainsawing willow and oak out of driveways while Valerie signed approved and then didn't pay. Captain Alvarez reads charges like a grocery list, false reports, attempted tampering, conspiracy. Nora stands, voice steady. I move to remove Ms. Cross from all HOA positions effective immediately and to install an interim board to negotiate access with Mr. Mercer. The vote isn't close. It's a tide. Valerie lunges for the microphone. Mark steps in front of her with the kind of gentle immovability they teach at the firehouse. "Ma'am," he says, "you've lost the room. I don't do speeches, but I do understand leverage and neighbors. I tell them I now own the road they all use and the corner they've used for free, and here's what happens next. Emergency services keep 24/7 access. No questions asked. It's already coded. For the rest, we sign a proper agreement. The HOA gets permanent, recorded access over both the strip I bought and the corner I've always owned. In return, each household pays into a road fund handled by a professional manager. No shoebox finances, no shoe shopping. $35 a month, less than your coffee habit, and every penny goes to maintenance, drainage, snow removal, legal filings, and an annual audit you can read without crying. I add a second option for the stubborn. Build your own access entirely inside HOA land like the original permit required, but I keep my tone friendly because I'm not here to win enemies. Silence holds the room for a heartbeat. Then hands start clapping like rain on a metal roof. People who wouldn't meet my eyes at the mailbox last week line up to shake my hand. A dad I've never met says thank you without using words, just a nod men pass on job sites. Captain Alvarez steps outside and quietly does what he was going to do days ago. Valerie and Neil leave in a car that doesn't look so pearl white under red and blue lights. 6 months later, the road is smoother than half the county highways because Miguel's crew finally got paid to do it right. The drainage actually drains. The brick sign lost its snobbery and gained flowers. Nora got elected HOA president and posts the budget every month where the sun can see it. Mark runs a block party night that smells like pulled pork and second chances. The lien is satisfied. The insurance paid back most of what Valerie siphoned, and a judge wrote a paragraph that says, gently but permanently, that a gate on your land is your business until you break a law, which I didn't. Olivia suggested we do one more thing, and I surprised myself by liking it. We took the first year's small surplus from the road fund and set up the June Harper Scholarship for trades and public service. Welders, line workers, diesel techs, EMTs. First recipient? Anna Sandoval, who came to my kitchen with case law and a fire in her eyes. She's finishing law school focused on property rights and mediation, so maybe the next guy, like me, doesn't have to learn the hard way what quiet title means. I cried a little in the truck where nobody could see. Most mornings now, I sit on Grandma's porch with my coffee and watch families roll through the gate that almost broke us. Kids wave because kids wave at anyone who waves back. The man who used to rev his German engine out of spite slows down near my gravel and gives that awkward smile neighbors use when they've done a little soul-searching. I wave back. I'm not perfect. I still close the gate right at 4, and I still enjoy the choreography of a luxury U-turn more than a healthy person probably should, but I also keep the code updated at dispatch, and if an ambulance hits those lights, every lock I own opens like a prayer. I think about Valerie sometimes, about how power without transparency tries to turn convenience into a right and property into a suggestion. About how the easiest revenge would have been a padlock and a sign that says, "Not my problem," but the better answer was paperwork, patience, and a deal that outlives everybody's anger. That's not noble. That's just the way things get fixed where I'm from. You write it down, you sign your name, you pay what's fair, you keep your word.